Guys, if you know us, you'll know just how big of a deal this one is. Our next guest is a pro wrestling legend. You're talking about a former WCW, WWE, ECW heavyweight champion, one of the best big men to ever do it. And now he joins us to look back on his Hall of Fame career and talk a bit about what's next at AEW. No BS, it's Paul Wight here on Submission Radio for the first time. Paul, welcome to the show, man. I can't believe this. I can't believe you joining us on the show. It's such a big deal to us. Welcome, man.
So very honored to be here. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for that amazing introduction. You know, legend's a nice way of saying really old. Thank you.
No. If anyone deserves the title of legend, it is absolutely you. And it's not often that, you know, you get to speak to somebody who you've been watching as a kid, and now here we are in our 30s later. So this is an honor.
Feels so much better. I saw you when I was a kid.
You're right.
Back when I had long hair and a bright future.
I kind of botched that one. There's a lot of stuff that we want to talk to you about, man. But let's start with your incredible career before we obviously get to AEW. Right. We mentioned in the intro, obviously, WCW, WWE, ECW heavyweight champion. Can you pinpoint sort of which title meant the most, and which run for you meant the most, looking back on the legendary career?
Yeah, it's funny. To be a legend, you actually have to do legendary stuff. So I guess some of the things I've done in my career are memorable, so we'll go with that. A lot of my title runs, it's really funny. When I look back at it, I'm not a guy that ever should have had a title like that, a heavyweight title. Tag team title, sure, but my career, I was fortunate enough to be a guy that was able to be a great transition champion. A lot of times, you know, the way things would work out, there would be a title opportunity, it would give me a little boost, but it would help me set up the next guy coming down the road. Whether it was like to help set up John Cena with a U.S. championship at Wrestlemania to get him on his way. It's a tough thing about being a champion is all that responsibility is on your head. And I never wanted that much responsibility. I never wanted to run the whole boat. I like being a support member. I like being part of the team. But I was never one of those guys that was driven, I got to have the title or I'm nothing. That was never my big deal. But I'm lucky to think back of some of the bigger title moments. I think definitely my first one with Ric Flair and WCW, when I actually chokeslammed him out of the figure four, was one of my favorite ones. And of course, Brock Lesnar, being the first one to beat Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman's help. Those two stick out a lot as far as memorable moments. Now, the first title that I picked up off in Hulk Hogan, I really didn't win it my first match, but I ended up with it. That was more of I was too green and too young to know what I had at the time. I remember wearing it through the airport because Hogan told me to. And, brother, you gotta wear it through the airport so everybody knows there's a new champion. So I'm walking through the airport with a WCW World Heavyweight Championship on, like a real, you know, sorry to use the term, like a real mark, because I was a fan. And I remember walking through, and guys like the Steiner brothers and Luger, they were all, "Good job, champ." They're all giving me thumbs up, and I'm proud as a peacock on top of the world. And I remember Sting came over to me because I'd taken the title off to run it through the X-ray machine. I was snapping it back on, like I'm wearing this thing. And Sting comes over, and this is Sting with a blonde crew cut and the razor shades and the California tan. He comes over and goes, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm wearing the title because I'm the champ, because Hogan told me to. He goes, "Put it in your bag. You look like an idiot." And I'm like, "Oh, they're ribbing me." But, you know, fun stuff.
Dude, yeah, like speaking of Sting, you worked with so many legends: Sting, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, Stone Cold, The Rock. Is there one guy that like stands out to be your Ricky Steamboat to your Ric Flair? Like, is there one guy that stands out as the one guy you're like, all right, this is the guy I always had magic with in the ring?
You know, it's terrible. I think a lot of guys I was fortunate enough to have some great chemistry with, and some great just angles. I think a guy I worked with a lot and did a lot of great business with in WWE was John Cena. John Cena by far was the most pleasant opponent I've ever had to work with in my entire career. There was never any stress. There was never, I don't even think after the first 2 or 3 times that John and I wrestled, I don't think we ever talked about our match or what we were doing again after that. It was more of a, what's the finish? Okay, how long we got? All right, I'll see you out there, John. And we would just go work. So as far as that, it was very fun working with him. But as far as working with other guys that were like a Ricky Steamboat, man, there were some guys that brought out some great fights. Undertaker was always the guy that made me really step up and work hard to push myself to be better throughout my whole career, because Taker was kind of like a mentor, and he cut me zero slack. I can remember trying to walk back through the curtain because I knew Taker would be at the curtain waiting on me to talk to me about my match. I remember I would try to go to side curtain so I could just have 45 seconds to myself. Got my ass chewed out. And he had that one finger that always did, where it's been stepped on 17 times. He'd have that one finger and he'd start pulling on that goatee. And I was like, man, I just need a minute. Just let me have a minute, But I would have to say, there's so many great guys that I got to work with. I'm so fortunate for 4 decades. I got to work with pretty much anybody and anybody that ever made it in this business, from Rock to Stone Cold to Macho Man to Hogan, Sting. Like I said, I'm still a kid in a candy store, believe it or not, working with all those incredible talents. And now, in the twilight of my career, getting a chance to work with some of the amazing young talents. I'm just very blessed and thankful. Every day I go to work, it's a good day.
It's amazing that you still have that attitude, right? Like, you've been working with these guys for so long, but then you can hear there's still a small part of you that's like that fan, like we were, and like anybody is, who grew up watching pro wrestling. You still, to a degree, see those guys like, oh man, that's the guy that I was watching. You have so much respect for them. And just quickly, you mentioned Stone Cold. Out of curiosity, what did you think of his brief return at WrestleMania?
I thought it was great. I thought it was good for Steve because, Steve and I stay in touch a lot. We're pretty good buds. We're usually laughing about cars and dog videos. But I know he's been working really hard. He stays in shape. He hits the gym. He gets his cardio in. And I know that he loves this business. And like me, you always want to be a part of it. And for him to get out there and rock and roll and have that opportunity to mix it up, that's an amazing opportunity for him. And I thought he did fantastic. I really did. I mean, I know they're the other company, but I was really, really pleased and happy with how that whole thing turned out and the way they laid it out, and even Vince getting his ass in the ring and doing something great. So,
what did you think of that stunner? What did you think of that stunner? That Vince.
Well, here's the thing, and he'll be the first to admit it. He takes the crappiest stunner ever. I mean, it's a good thing he's a smart guy and can run a company, because he's just not an athlete. God bless him. He's a hell of a weightlifter. Squat 700 pounds, bench 500 pounds, but he's not the athlete that Shane is. That's for sure.
I want to get your thoughts on Brock Lesnar in just 1 second, because we talk a lot of MMA here. But just quickly, man, I know you mentioned how you worked with all these different athletes. I got to ask, and I just want to quickly explain this, because a lot of people that are going to tune into this, they're primarily MMA fans. But there was a situation that happened at the WWE with Naomi and Sasha, where they basically handed in their belts and walked out. People kind of compare it to like the Stone Cold situation. And for people that don't know much about pro wrestling, basically this never happens. It was a crazy whole situation. I know you worked with both of those wrestlers. Was it weird when you saw that pop up? Like, obviously you're not with the company anymore, but you would have been shocked when you saw that.
For me to speculate on all of that would just be absurd, because I don't know. I haven't talked to Naomi. I haven't talked to Mercedes or Sasha either. So, I think every talent, fans forget, there's keywords just used all the time. There's opportunity and all these different things, but this is still a business, and as much as we love and everyone has passion for this business, it comes down to a lot of times making, business decisions. And sometimes a talent believes strongly in something, they have to take that stand. I've never been put in a position where I felt like I had to make that choice. My attitude was always very different in wrestling. I signed a contract. They pay me to do this, whatever they want me to do, whether it's get knocked out by a mechanical bull, wear a Mawashi and have my ass hang out at WrestleMania and have a sumo match. That was never a thing for me where I was so worried about my character. And I've caught grief for that over the years too. I've sold too much for these people. I've done too much for other people. Everybody's got an opinion. I always approached this business and never forgot the golden rule that it's entertainment, not real. It doesn't matter. Whatever you do last week, most people won't remember in 3 or 4 weeks. And if they do remember it, then that's a good thing because you made an impact on a fan. So, but everyone looks at this business differently. They all have their own business choices and opinions. I just hope that obviously that Sasha and Naomi find a way to work things out because they're two incredible talents that fans really enjoy seeing. And the only sad thing out of the whole scenario would be them not being able to entertain the fans that I know that they both are very passionate about and love doing. But, again, that's all you can do is sit back and wait and see what happens.
Very well put. And by the way, speaking of moments that you did for the fans, that crazy one between you and Mayweather where you let him break your nose, unbelievable, man. No one would do that. And me and Casper, we watched that back in the day. And, man, that was... that was, everybody thought there was a shoot until you came out and said, hey, this was a plan. Like you were angry in that moment. People ran for their lives.
What were you saying, Paul?
I said it was a shoot. He punched me in the nose. I told him to break it. But, I don't know how you work that. Sorry. I said, yeah, go ahead and punch me in the nose. I said, don't shove it down the back of my head. But if you can tap it, to get a chance to work with probably one of the greatest fighters of all time, certainly one of the greatest defensive fighters of all time, to work with Floyd and to have that opportunity for that spotlight at WrestleMania. That whole thing changed. Originally, I think that was supposed to be Floyd and I against Batista and Ray. It was supposed to be a tag originally. And then there was a series of injuries. I think Dave got hurt really bad, either tore a lat or a bicep, and same thing happened with Ray. And all this happened before we got to kick the angle off. So when they presented the opportunity, hey, will you work with him one-on-one? I'm like, hell yes, I'll work with him. Whatever you guys want to do. There are certain times in this business where you have to, whether you take one for the team or take one for the fans or take one for your own career, however you want to take it. But I knew at that moment for us to get the kind of attention that we needed, we needed to do something that no one would not talk about, and that would be to have him get on one knee and have him light my nose up, like, no pun intended, like downtown Las Vegas. But I did tell him, hey, look, there's going to be about 10 seconds. I come from a long ancestry of Vikings, so there's a little berserker nuts in there. So for about 10 seconds, don't be around, run. So it was funny, and I came after. I remember the only guy that had the balls to come around me was Shane, because I was so wound up. Even our own camera crew, our own crew people, everybody just scattered. And I remember Shane coming over and he goes, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "That was awesome." And he did it like only he can do it. And it made me laugh, and it took me right out of it. But we had to go, they had to run Floyd down because he was in the car. He already left.
Wow.
They had to bring him back to the
wow.
So, but it was good. Great business. But another thing too, like working with him was such a great experience because he gets promotion. He gets the art of selling tickets. He understands how to motivate people. And it's funny, last night, the AEW show here in Vegas, his son came by. He came by the AEW show. So, and of course, I remember when his son was a lot smaller, and now his kid's got the same smile as his dad, just a lot more hair than me or Floyd. But it was kind of cool to see that and see him. So it was good.
That's awesome, man. We'll get to AEW in 2 seconds, but I got to ask, man, one guy that you had a lot of memorable moments with was obviously Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I got to ask, man, what are some of the craziest road stories that you remember from all the years of going town to town with Brock Lesnar?
Oh, God, I worked, it's funny, like I always tease Brock when I see him. I said, he's got the best backstage game since Hulk Hogan. Like when I first started wrestling, like people would whisper when Hulk Hogan came into the building, like, it's like the old Bugs Bunny cartoon, like, Leopold, that kind of a thing. So, but I would see Brock walk into the buildings when he came back after the UFC stuff, and like people would flatten themselves against the wall because like they were so intimidated by Brock. And Brock is a great guy. He's one of the most honest people you'll ever meet in your life. Because if he likes you, he likes you. If he don't, he just doesn't mess with you. You know what I mean? Like, you get the vibe right away. This guy doesn't like me, I should move on. But one of my favorite moments was actually in Australia with Brock. We had just landed from a charter, and the fans were right at the gate at the terminal. And and there was probably 300-400 fans there. They tried to have a little section roped off so we could get off the jet bridge and proceed to baggage claim. And I was just ahead of Brock, and when I came out, I saw the people there, and I was like, "Oh, this ought to be good," because Brock is a notorious grumpy traveler. Like, he doesn't travel well. He doesn't like flying. He doesn't like big crowds. He likes performing, but he doesn't like that chaos that irritates him a little bit. So I remember Brock came out of the jet bridge there, and all the fans, I mean, every single person took a picture. Like, it was like a Hollywood press night. All these pictures of Brock. And Brock had on sunglasses. And I remember he tipped his sunglasses down. He looked at everybody, and everyone's holding their cameras. They're looking because they're expecting Brock to say something like hello, or I'm glad to be in Australia, or something. It was that moment where everybody was paused. And Brock did that head flinch thing like he does, but so quick. He made 300 people gasp and take a step back, because every single person there thought Brock Lesnar was coming from them. And then he smiled and put his glasses on ahead of the baggage claim. That made me laugh. So I said, dude, you just made 300 people flinch. Like, that was the funniest thing I think I personally had ever seen from him, other than just his general craziness. He's a guy that loves to work hard and loves to play hard, and I had a lot of fun with him, from him having that forklift match where he jacked the forklift way up. And I told him, I says, dude, look, I'm not really cool with heights, and this is pretty rickety, so don't jack me all the way up to the ceiling. He's like, oh, I won't do that. And then what does he do? He jacks me all the way up to the ceiling and drives around all crazy. And I'm screaming at him up there. They had to cut the microphones off in that area because I'm dropping all kinds of F-bombs, yelling at him to cut it out. And I'm terrified hanging onto this pallet in the forklift. So that's that. Long-winded.
You guys had such amazing chemistry and so many great moments. I know you mentioned how, I just held the title and sort of passed on to the next guy, but you had so many historic moments that fans absolutely love. So you're being modest, man, when you say that. Just epic stuff that no one could ever recreate. And having two massive guys like you guys, having that kind of chemistry, super rare in the business. Got to quickly ask that, like, when he went over to the UFC, he obviously became the champ. He also brought in with him his great promo skills and kind of changed the UFC a little bit. I think a lot of fighters saw what he was doing and tried to sort of replicate what he did, what Conor McGregor was doing, what Chael Sonnen were doing. I'm curious, when you watch the UFC, because I know you're a fan, what do you think of the promo abilities from some of these guys in 2022? I'm like, even guys like Colby Covington, who comes on the show very frequently. He's got Kurt Angle's entrance music now, and he's got the "You Suck" chants when he comes out. What have you thought lately when you see the promo abilities from these guys?
I think it's brilliant. Any fighter that's in any kind of combat sports, whether it's pro wrestling, whether it's boxing, UFC, MMA, you want to separate yourself from the pack. Sure, you can win matches, but if you win matches and you have no personality, then you're a dry piece of toast. But if you can win matches and you can fight well and you can get people to get excited about, even if you can piss people off, you're selling tickets and you're making yourself a household name and you're making yourself an emotional connection with the audience. The audience is going to care about you one way or another. They're either going to want to see you get beat or they're going to want to see you win. Just like Conor McGregor is amazing at talking trash. And even like Brock, when he came out, Brock he didn't let anyone hold him back. And that's the thing about Brock. He's always been that way, is Brock has always been dead honest. He's always said what he feels and pretty much does what he wants. That's just who he is. I mean, he's not trapped up about money. He understands business is business, but his attitude is just, there it is. Either like it or don't. Either way, I don't care. So when fighters get a chance to make themselves unique and make themselves different, I think it's entertaining for the fans, and it's better for their product. It's better for their branding. They can go in so many different directions. It's so smart to make yourself unique. You don't want to be the next Conor McGregor. You don't want to be the next Brock Lesnar. You want to be the next you that's unique and different. And if you can make that connection with the audience, you know, you start getting that mailbox money, that money that the mailbox that you don't have to go out and really grab. That's the smart money.
Yeah, and that's hard to come by in fighting. So it's good to see some of the UFC guys starting to sort of come across it. Yeah.
It's good for the sport because, I mean, you know, there's a lot of great amateur wrestling matches, especially in college, but it doesn't really have the crowd draw like an MMA fight or like pro wrestling or boxing because they don't have that spectacle part of it. They're not allowed to with NCAA rules and colleges and all that stuff. So it's hard for them to be characters. When you can have people, because people want larger than life characters, they want to be entertained, they want to be awed, they want to be inspired. You know, all these things are important to create that fan base and help the business grow. So, I mean, look at what Muhammad Ali did for boxing.
Yeah.
Probably one of the greatest trash talkers of all time. And back then there were a lot of people that didn't want Muhammad Ali to win. They didn't like his attitude. They didn't like his choice of religion. All these things that Muhammad Ali did because he was, you know, he had conviction of who he was as a person and as a man, and he stuck to that. And now looking back, you got to think like, wow, in that time, in that era, what, you know, guts did it take for Muhammad Ali to know who he was as a man and stick to it? So I suggest all the people competing now, find something that's honest, be honest, and go for it.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of going for it, Father's Day is just around the corner, and I know we're speaking to a legend right now, Paul Wight, but if you want to celebrate another legend in your father, help him with not a rusty razor, celebrate the man who raised you with the Lawnmower 4.0. Show him that you care. The greatest grooming tool on the market. It's got the LED light. It's waterproof. It's got the skin-safe technology, so you don't have to worry about any cuts or nicks. It's also got the travel lock, so it doesn't go off in Dad's bag while he's going through the airport and gets arrested. And then you chuck it on the wireless charging dock and just move on with your life. Manscaped taking care of your father in the Performance Package 4.0, where you get the Lawnmower 4.0, you get the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, and then it comes with a whole bunch of other fantastic things to keep Dad smelling nice and fresh downstairs. And then they've also got their phenomenal ultra premium collection of shower products. You know, people have been buying their father's shower packages for years and years, but now you can switch to something ultra and premium that Dad's going to be appreciating for years and years. If you aren't the favorite now, you're definitely going to be after this. Isn't that right, Dennis?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And what I love about Manscaped is over here in Australia, for example, it's such an awesome present. Like, it's not something you could just walk down to your local store and grab. It's a very, very special set of tools that will ensure that your father has an amazing time this year, being clean, ready to go, and something that he can brag to all the other dads about. Hey, you ain't got this Manscaped. You got the rusty razor, but you ain't got this Manscaped. And you guys could even make this gift even better for yourself by saving 20% off and getting free shipping with a code word submission today. Change his life forever. Have an amazing Father's Day thanks to Manscaped. But Cass, just quickly on making a little bit of money maybe to get that Manscaped present, our friends at MyBookie are always looking after you in terms of odds, even for fights that haven't even come out yet. We got some potential fight odds here for a Conor McGregor Kamaru Usman fight. Conor McGregor plus 350, Kamaru Usman minus 600. Or how about a Colby Covington Dustin Poirier fight? Right now, Colby Covington sitting at minus 600, Dustin Poirier at a plus 400. What I'm trying to say is MyBookie has you covered no matter what the odds are, no matter what the fights are, even the fights that haven't been announced yet. You guys can bet on it today. And of course, don't forget all the amazing betting around your NHL, NBA, and all sorts of other sports. MyBookie is the only place to go. And you guys could sign up today with a code word submission and double that first deposit now. Make sure to make some serious money with our friends at MyBookie, Cass. And by the way, when we talk to a legend like Paul Wight, so many amazing moments pop up, Cass, like the amazing matches he's had throughout his career. Unfortunately, not very easy to go back and check those moments out because they're geo-blocked. Well, our friends at NordVPN have you covered. If you want to go back and check out some of Paul's amazing moments before AEW Double or Nothing, which you can get on Fight TV this Monday in Australia, why not use NordVPN to unblock those memories? There are so many streaming services in the US, from Peacock to Hulu to HBO Max, that you cannot access down here. ESPN Plus, because it's geo-blocked. NordVPN has you covered with their amazing plan and deal, where you guys could basically have a huge discount off NordVPN, plus threat protection that ensures no one's going to steal your credit card information, plus one additional month for free. Isn't that right, Cass?
Yeah, that's right, man. Use the code submission or go to nordvpn.com/submission to take advantage of this sexy deal, or you can click the link in the description below or the pinned comment, and it's absolutely risk-free because it's 30 days money-back guarantee. So if for whatever reason you don't like it, you can get your money back, no hassles.
That's right. Secure it today. But Paul, I want to talk about AEW Double or Nothing, and we do appreciate your time. You're absolute legend, and we know you got a lot going on. It's another stellar card, but one name missing of it is, of course, the legend Paul Wight. I mean, we got to ask first up, man. Why haven't we seen you be more active since you come over to AEW? Where's the Paul Wight Appreciation Society? Where's this fraction at?
Yeah, right. Well, to be honest, what we've been doing is I had another hip transplant in December, so now I have two fake hips. Now I have two titanium hips, so I'm like Wolverine. So the process for me is just to been rehab, physical therapy, get stronger. And my thing coming over here, honestly, to be sincere, is I came over here to work on my commentary skills, because that's where my future lies in wrestling. That's where I want to contribute to the business. But I came over to compete periodically in small dosages. Like I don't see myself running for championships. That's not my gig. Maybe if it works out and there's a younger talent that I can bring along, like a tag team championship, maybe. I've done my 5 nights a week for 4 decades. I put in my time. Now for me, it's about not taking anything away from the amazing AEW talent here that deserves that TV time, that deserves that opportunity to make those connections with the audience, that deserves that ability to go out and earn those pay-per-view paydays. This is their time. And, for me, I'll pick and choose here and there and squeeze in. And we got some stuff coming down the line that's really cool. But this has been an incredible card that they put together, incredible sold-out venue. These talents are excited, and I'm excited to watch them. So that's the smart thing you do. It's like I'm never going to be a guy that's going to come in and bully my way, and I need my own dressing room. I need to be fighting for the title. That's not my MO. I want the business to do well. I want the talent around me to do well, and I'll be okay.
That's fascinating, especially the way that you use the word contribute to commentary, because commentary is a lot harder than people realize.
Boy, isn't it? Let me tell you what. It's hard because I used to get frustrated with the commentating when I was a talent. Like, I don't understand, well, why aren't they talking about this and why aren't they talking about that? Well, number one, I never went and told them unique things about me. I had to learn really, like, some of the great commentators that I had the privilege to work in front of. Now I'm watching like JR, and I'm learning from Tony Schiavone and trying to find my own style, and like even working with Excalibur, who was like, some kind of savant thesaurus on every wrestling move that's ever been done. This guy knows it right away. I don't think that's in my caliber book, but trying to add to the talent to help point something out unique about them that not maybe the average fan knows, or try to explain from a working standpoint, why are they working the arm, why are they working the leg, why are they chopping him in the chest, these things, and help bring the fans along and hopefully make it easier for them to translate what they're doing to the fans. So I'm learning as I go. Sometimes I get mad because I get tongue-tied, but it's all part of slowing down and learning to tell the short story. So I'm trying, but thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, you're crushing it, man. I was going to say, I know you mentioned that you're coming back with the hips and stuff, but when you're looking at the roster of the AEW roster, are there a couple of dream matchups there for you?
Want to work with? Oh yeah. I've got,
because I'm thinking Wardlow here, but that's just me.
No. I mean, Wardlow, obviously. At some point, I'd like to do some kind of a thing where I could tag with Wardlow, just so I can kind of work with him as a team. I think there's a lot of fun we could have there. I would love to do something. When I look at guys, it's funny because a lot of this too would be me being a heel, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull that off. But I've had more turns than NASCAR, so who knows? But there's a lot of great talent. Like even working with like Kenny Omega, Adam Page. I would love to work with Dante Martin, Ricky Starks, Darby Allin. Allin, my God, I would love to be a heel with some heat and work with Darby Allin. Like, I mean, I think I could cause a riot with Darby Allin. Just, Murderhawk, Lance Hoyt, I'd love to work with him just because he's a big monster. We've got there's a lot of younger talent there that I want to mix it up with, but it's finding the right scenario to mix it up. Because, let's be honest, you don't need, it doesn't do any good for me to go out there and beat up a younger talent at this stage of the game for me. You know what I mean? I need to find a way that it makes sense to enhance that talent and elevate that talent. So it's in this situation, I think a lot of it's less is more, but there's a lot of guys that, I tell the young kids all the time, when you're driving down the road, have matches with guys in your head. So when you get to work with them someday, you'll already have an idea of what you want to do, because you have to be thinking about this business. So I've already done that since I've been in AEW. I've had matches with certain guys in my head, like Kenny Omega and stuff like that. I've had those matches in my mind already of what I'd like to do and what story I'd like to tell. So I'm excited, but we'll see how things go. And of course, for me, I'm very focused on growing AEW as a product and growing the AEW talent. That's first and foremost. I mean, I'm pretty confident in what I've done in my career. So I'm good, but right now it's about having fun and building AEW.
Yeah, man, and you're doing an amazing job of it. Last question from us. We've got a lot of people watching this that probably haven't watched pro wrestling since you were in the WWE and were holding a championship.
Right future. Right.
But they're super excited to hear about this card. Just quickly, for those people who don't watch AEW all the time or maybe haven't tuned into pro wrestling for a little bit, what are a couple of matches they need to tune into AEW Double or Nothing and check out this coming Monday here in Australia?
Well, I mean, there's so many matches to sit there and run them down and not to just even mention who's on the card. I mean, you've got CM Punk, you've got Adam Page, you've got the Hardy Boys, you've got the Young Bucks. There's Wardlow, MJF. There's so many to run down, to list, and they've done such a great job. That's one of the great things about AEW. There's not a pay-per-view every month. There's time in between, so there's a chance for these angles to build, to grow naturally, and to turn into something that fans actually want to see. I would suggest definitely if you're new to AEW, if you haven't tuned into any AEW products, if you're considering checking AEW out, then I would suggest this would be the pay-per-view to give it a shot. This is a pay-per-view to see what kind of amazing talent AEW has to offer. And understand that it's a unique product. It's a different product. It's more pro wrestling oriented. It's very back to the roots and the guts of what wrestling fans love about wrestling. And I think they'll be pleasantly pleased if they tune in.
100%. I think in the mid 2000s, I felt like pro wrestling forgot about me. It's not what I enjoyed in the late 90s, and I feel like AEW it sort of ushers people back in. It remembers those old school wrestling fans. That's what I love about it, man. AEW Double.
Things that appeal to me for coming over here too, because when you're in the same place, like I was there at WWE for 4 decades, and a lot of the storylines were just regurgitated storylines. Like, how many times can a fat guy fall in love with a hot chick and get his heart broken? I mean, heck, I was one of the fat guys that did fall in love with a chick and got my heart broken. Like, those storylines get regurgitated and regurgitated and regurgitated, and that happens over time. But one of the things that I loved about AEW is there's not a writing staff of 15, 20 writers. When the talent has a promo, that promo comes from the talent. So there's not as much hands-on molding, presentation and packaging. A lot of AEW is very raw. You'll see mistakes and you'll see successes, and those successes are hard-earned and hard-won. And I think I think the audience feels the difference and appreciates that honesty, that authenticity.
100%, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love how it's just not too polished. Not every shot is the same. Not every entrance looks exactly the same. Not everything is overproduced. And it really reminds me of back in the day, like what Casper was saying. AEW Double or Nothing goes down on Monday, May 30th, here in Australia at 10 a.m. via fight.tv. Make sure to check it out. It's one of the biggest shows of the year. And of course, follow Paul at Paul Wight on IG. A lot of big acting things around the corner as well. We see you're a bit of a big project coming up with you. So a lot of big things coming up around the corner. Can't wait to see.
We got my Gen Zeros projects working on some other stuff right now, working on some stuff with Mark Henry too. We've got a little thing that we're kicking around, and so there's some projects coming down the line. You know, that's the thing. You throw enough irons in the fire, you know, you make something work. You know?
What a genuine pleasure chatting with you, Paul. We were excited this morning, but you've exceeded all expectations, man. Thank you so much for the time, and dude, have a great day, man. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, you know, the next time I go to Australia, you know, I got to go out and I got to make sure I get some Maccas.
Yeah, man. Come get some Maccas.
I love that word from McDonald's. I don't know why. I love that word Maccas. I never say McDonald's anymore. To me, it's always, I need to go to Maccas. I do. So there you go.
Come down, get some Mickey D's. Thanks, Paul. Have a great day, man.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye-bye.